Hi, my name is Stan Bergkamp, and I'm sure you know my dear friend beside me, Dr. Fr Kapaun. And so the purpose of this video is to give some background information about a prayer that I wrote on Chris's behalf. And throughout my many years and travels, I've experienced some different spiritual events. And without doubt, the most profound one that I ever had happened in this room where I teach, with this man beside me. So Chris and I go way back, and I've known him since he was 8 years old, way back in our days in El Dorado. And he's a very good friend of mine and an inspiration to so many people. And so when Chris told me that his cancer had returned, I was visiting with my brother-in-law, Dr. Joe Davidson, and brought up the type of cancer that he had and that it had come back. And Joe said, you really need to pray to Father Kapaun. And because Joe was involved in a previous miracle associated with Dr. Kapaun, or with Father Kapaun. And so that was on a Sunday night, and I didn't want to put out anything on social media without Chris's input and his blessing, because this is ultimately his fight. So I thought about it all day, Monday night, and Tuesday morning I emailed Chris, and I said, hey, can you come down here, and I'd like to present an idea to you, because I'd like to write this novena, or this prayer, to ask Father Kapaun's intercession on Chris's behalf. So I didn't, in the email I said nothing about Father Kapaun. I just said, hey, can you come down here? I want to talk to you. So Chris comes down at the beginning of second block, and I tell him that story that I talked with Joe, and he said, hey, maybe you ought to pray to Father Kapaun. And I said, with your blessing, I'd like to write this prayer.
And I still get goosebumps even just thinking about this. So that morning, Tuesday, I was getting dressed, and in my closet I have some shelves, and on like my middle shelf is a little box with some scripture written on it, and inside the box is a little medallion that Craig Broadbent had given to me during my first fight with cancer. It has just kind of stayed in my closet. I look at it every single day when I get around. I read the passage, not every day, but I frequently. Somehow that morning, Tuesday morning, getting dressed, I opened the box, and I took out the medallion, and for the first time ever, I put it in my pocket. And I don't know why. It was just in my pocket all day long. Came into Mr. Bergkamp's room after he asked, and he told me kind of what he had planned on doing. He brought up Father Kapaun, and Father Kapaun is someone that I've read an enormous amount of literature about. There was a book written about him, and he has been someone that I have, followed closely since really the push to when they found his body, and then the push for him to become a saint. And for whatever reason, that day, I decided to put this medallion in my pocket. And as Mr. Bergkamp is telling, about his conversations with Dr. Davidson, I reach in and I look at Stan, and I said something along the lines of, do you think it's a coincidence that today, for the first time in my life, I've decided to carry this Father Kapaun medallion? And we both kind of just...
Oh, literally. I mean, I have goosebumps right now. I absolutely have goosebumps. And that's what I said. It was, without doubt, the most spiritual experience I've ever had, is that interaction right there. Because you had never carried that until that day. And he had that with him in his pocket. So I'll post the prayer that I wrote, and it asks, and I basically invoke a similar idea that Father Kapaun was involved in helping men on a battlefield survive and get through that. And that's the prayer that I wrote on Chris's behalf. So if you would help out a very, very dear friend of mine who's done amazing things on this earth, and say that prayer, it would mean the world to both of us. So that's the background. So peace, and thank you all.
Thank you for your prayers.